A pleasant good morning to you and Happy New Year. It is Monday, January the 3rd. I'm Shane Seeley and this is a CBC Morning Report. It is 2022 and we start the year with this story. It's nomination day here in Barbados and the political campaign trail is definitely heating up with the major parties unveiling their full suite of candidates for the upcoming general elections on January the 19th. Both the Barbados Labour Party and the Democratic Labour Party have put their choices forward for the 30 constituencies represented on the electoral map, and now it's time for them to put their case to the electorate, the people. Well, we will look at some of the highlights among the candidates leading up to this January 19th polls with Peter Wickham, leading political analyst here in Barbados, in short order. But in other stories this morning, we hear that another cruise ship with cases of COVID-19 is in Barbados' waters. This time, CBC understands that close to 40 cases have been detected aboard Royal Caribbean's Grandeur of the Seas. Information reaching our news desk indicates the cruise liner was docked at the Bridgetown port to allow for air-to-sea transfers, with passengers flying into Barbados boarding the vessel. However, due to the COVID-19 situation on board the ship, the process had to be halted. A team from the Ministry of Health and Wellness was called in to assess the situation last evening. As the details come to hand, we will bring them to you. 150 new cases, COVID-19 cases, were recorded here in Barbados on Saturday, and this is from 892 tests conducted by the Best Dos Santos Public Health Lab. The new positives comprised 71 males and 79 females. 20 of those were under the age of 18. There are now 203 people in isolation facilities and 1,282 people in home isolation. Air travel continues to be severely disrupted over in the U.S., with bad weather in parts of the country adding to the impact of a surge in COVID-19 infections fueled by the Omicron variant. The U.S. had 2,604 canceled flights on Saturday alone. That's more than half of the 4,529 canceled worldwide. The worst affected U.S. airline was Southwest, which had to cancel 450 flights nationwide, or 13% of its flight schedule, according to the site. American Airlines and Delta Airlines also scrubbed more than 200 flights each, and the United Airlines cancelled more than 150. The global air travel industry is still reeling from the highly contagious Omicron variant. Many pilots, flight attendants, and other staff are absent from work after contracting COVID-19 and are quarantined after coming into contact with an infected person. Meanwhile, top U.S. pandemic advisor Anthony Fauci says the main focus should be on the unvaccinated at this time.
Dr. Fauci described the rise in infections as absolutely unprecedented. This is a rise that is being reflected throughout the United States. Hospitalizations have also increased, but most of those being admitted to hospital, if not all of them, are people who are reported to be unvaccinated. Dr. Fauci said the fact that the infections were so high and yet the fact that the hospitalization rates were relatively low is a strong indicator that the Omicron variant has less serious side effects than other variants of the virus. He also quoted research that has been conducted in other parts of the world, such as in South Africa, saying that the virus, the current upsurge, could start flattening out within the next few weeks if these statistics from other countries could be taken into account. So Dr. Fauci insistent, though, that this relationship between the infection rate and the rate of hospitalization actually makes clear that it's the hospitalization rate that should be focused on rather than the number of infected cases.
This is particularly relevant if you're having an infection that is much more asymptomatic and minimally symptomatic, particularly in people who are vaccinated and boosted. The real bottom line that you want to be concerned about is, are we getting protected by the vaccines from severe disease leading to hospitalization? I'm still very concerned about the tens of millions of people who are not vaccinated at all. Because even though many of them are going to get asymptomatic and mildly symptomatic, a fair number of them are going to get severe disease.
Now, last week, under pressure, it seems, from big business, the CDC reduced the quarantine rate of people who are asymptomatic from 10 days to 5 days. Now, this created a degree of blowback, particularly from employees' unions, who said the CDC was bowing to big business. But there was also criticism of the fact that the CDC did not stipulate that those returning after the quarantine period should be tested. Dr. Fauci says now that the CDC is reconsidering this, and within the next few days it's likely to add to that quarantine protocol an insistence that those returning to work or to school after a 5-day quarantine period be tested. The only issue here, there are still simply not enough tests for people to self-test at home within the United States. This is something that the Biden administration says will be rectified within coming weeks.
Let's go to Pearson now to hear what he has planned for you on his very first show for 2022 right here on Morning Barbados at 6:30. Pearson, how are you doing? Happy New Year.
Shane, thank you. The very same to you and yours as well. I hope you're well as well. Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Coming up at 6:30 this morning, we'll be again just sharing with you some of the best of who we are. Like, we'll meet a woman this morning who operates her own blends, her Utopia Blends, winning a competition, and that has propelled her into business, and she's doing very well. We'll introduce you to her. We'd also to introduce you today to the reigning Mr. Executive with the St. Leonard's Boys School. That's right, it was a competition held in 2017, and so he's going to come to join with us this morning, and the man behind the initiative as they prepare to launch very shortly the next edition of Mr. Executive at the St. Leonard's Boys. And we'll also today be talking about the Children's Helpline with Faith Marshall Harris, a child advocate, and so we can't wait to talk to her about that and a whole lot more when you join me for Morning Barbados at 6:30. Shane, it's back to you.
Thank you, Pearson. And when we come back after the break, we hit the campaign trail to let you know what is happening there in the lead up to the January 19th polls. And we're expected to be joined by Peter Wickham, the director of CADRIS, a leading political advisor here in Barbados. Details to come right here on the Morning Report. The chairman of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission does not think there was any conflicting information given by either Ronald Chapman, the director of the COVID-19 monitoring unit, and the upcoming or Queen's Counsel Hal Gollop as far as the COVID-19 situation and the upcoming general elections are concerned. Leslie Haynes QC, in a media managers session yesterday to address electoral issues, said 2 points of view were presented on COVID positive patients not being able to vote, but there was no conflict.
The problem that we have is one of interpretation. I understood Mr. Chapman to talk along medical and health lines. I understood Mr. Gollop to talk along legal lines. I did not intervene or did I say anything, but there's something in law called medical legal issues. And as far as I'm concerned, the issue of COVID and the question that was asked was a medical legal issue. So Mr. Chapman's point of view and a member of the COVID unit, Mr. Gollop was speaking from a legal point of view. I didn't see any dispute or issue between them.
Meanwhile, with nomination day being just in under 4 hours, political hopefuls have been in their various constituencies fine-tuning for the battle ahead of those key battlegrounds constituencies, one of those being St. John. In the 2018 election, you may remember, history was created when Charles Griffith became the first ever Barbados Labour Party candidate to win the seat that was considered a Democratic Labour Party stronghold. He's confident in completing the double, as he's been able to achieve some key upgrades in several areas, such as infrastructure, during his term in office.
I want to juxtapose what happened in the last 3.5 years against what happened for the last 60 years in the constituency of St. John. So we have a situation where roads were done in St. John. We have in excess of maybe 30 houses that pit toilets were removed. We have the possibility of, in the near future, to have a national park at Poole. In addition to that, there's not a problem in St. John anymore with water.
Meanwhile, the DLP's new candidate for the constituency, Andre Worrell, is also confident and believes he can bring the seat back home for his party.
I'm making sure that I get out there in meeting with the people of St. John. I am open and accessible. If anybody wants me, they can give me a call. They can interact with me on my Instagram pages. Reach out to my campaign office is in Clifton Hall, St. John. Reach out to me and I will be there to listen to them and take them on board. But to me, the feeling is very good and it's very encouraging from people. As I drive through communities, I am getting a good response.
And these candidates will be among others involved in today's nomination day. In just a few hours, let's get an update on what is really happening on the ground with the political climate, the parties, and some of the new alliances formed as well from our very own Peter Wickham, leading political analyst here in Barbados, the director of cadres. Good morning, Peter. Good to have you on the Morning Report.
Hi, good morning. Good to be with you. Good to be
All right, yes, let's look at it. Nomination day. But really, the campaign trail heating up with the candidates already putting forward their missions, their thoughts, and basically what they have done in some cases or will be doing for their constituencies. What are some of the highlights for you when you look at some of the events so far on the campaign trail and some people who we thought were probably dead in the water coming back into the political fray as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the interesting thing. We've had essentially it's a 2-week campaign. The fact that it was announced just after Christmas meant that theoretically it's really only yesterday or today, one could say, that we can really start campaigning in earnest. So we shaved a week off the campaign. It will be one of the shortest campaigns in our history. The 1999 campaign, when Arthur called the election on Boxing Day, would have been a similar strategy where you give the two teams a very short time. Sometimes I would say mercifully, because the campaign tends to take a toll on a lot of us. So the short campaign is often a good thing. And certainly during COVID, I think a short campaign is also not a bad thing. I think the 4 DLP returnees would be one of the highlights in terms of intrigue. There was a lot of conversation about whether the Democratic Labour Party was bringing back anyone and who they were going to bring back. Certainly, I expressed views on whether I thought any of them should have come back at all. But we've seen the return of Dr. David Eswick at 11th hour. We've seen Mr. Michael Lashley. He's returning. He was not in the 11th hour. He was known a little while ago. We've also seen the return of there are 2 others. Richard Seeley, he also came in a few months ago and indicated that he was running again. So there's definitely a lot of interest around those returnees.
And then Dennis Lowe as well.
Dennis Lowe, yeah, Dr. Dennis Lowe, he also returned. So I think that will generate some interest in terms of whether or not they will have an impact. You mentioned the St. John race just now in your special report. That's one of my key races of interest because of the fact that the margin is so narrow in terms of the support in those constituencies. If we look at it statistically, a safe seat is usually a seat in which the level of support is around 68, 69%. There are only 3 seats in Barbados where the level of support is not in that vicinity. For that reason, I would say that those are the 3 key races that we need to look at in terms of likelihood of change. Of course, last election was unusual, so it is possible that this election will also be unusual in terms of a bounce back, which means that there's several of the others that may also make an impact. And I think that that's really the intrigue associated with this election.
Looking at some of the candidates on the other side for the Barbados Labour Party, there are some new candidates on that end as well. How does this short campaign window give them a chance? Or are they riding on the Prime Minister's wave of success?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons that the replacement of candidates, people indicating, Colonel Most Honorable Jeffrey Bostic, indicating that he was not coming back so early, John King indicating that he was not coming back so early, Ronald Topping. It was important that these announcements be made when they were made, because now we know that the election was relatively close. So it gave those persons the opportunity to get into the constituency and be introduced by their party brothers. And that's exactly what happened. In the case of Bridgetown and Corey Lane, in the case of St. Philip, I would say that you're dealing with known quantities. So you have individuals who are relatively well known to the Barbadian population, either through being a minister like Senator Kay McConney, or alternatively Corey Lane, who was a talk show host like myself, and as a result has some level of exposure. In addition, Corey would also have been the poverty advisor for the Barbados Labour Party, and that gives him a reasonable level of exposure. Sir Michael West Gibbs, Laurent Gibbs, the son of Laurent Gibbs, Christopher Gibbs, he's also a newcomer. But again, he had the opportunity to have been named as a candidate, just after the last election. So as caretaker, he's had an opportunity to walk the constituency and get to know people. So I would say that there are some new faces, but fortunately for the Barbados Labour Party, most of the new faces are known quantities. I forgot to mention Roman Springer, who is new in St. Andrew, was a senator in the government, in the administration, and again had the opportunity to walk with Mr. Payne through the constituency, and they have that level of familiarity. So I would say that the BLP new faces have the benefit of notice for the task at hand, and as a result, they're likely to be, I would say, in a relatively good position to take over. I'm a bit more concerned about the newcomers on the Democratic Labour Party side. You have newcomers like Neil Marshall, for example, a young attorney at law and a decent chap, who would not have been in the constituency a particularly long time to make an impact on people and to get to know them. Those are some of the newcomers that I think are going to be challenged on this occasion, especially as the election has been called so early. Andre Worrell was just interviewed. He's not new to the party, to the politics of Barbados, in that he was senator in the former administration, and he has a relatively well-known posture. So yeah, he will not be one of the newcomers, but certainly some of the other ones are going to have some challenges in getting people to know them.
And then there is the other factor in this whole election campaign, which is the new alliances that have been formed, and probably we may see a few more independents coming into the fray. But under the opposition leader, Bishop Joseph Atherley, there is this new alliance. What do you think of their chances in this upcoming general election?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time or interest really in the third party, time for or interest in these third parties or alternative parties. Look, the history of Barbados in terms of third parties speaks for itself. And I acknowledge that you had an election in St. Lucia recently where 2 independents actually won seats. This is not St. Lucia. And in Barbados, generally speaking, these people do not impact. Adderley is interesting in that Adderley lost twice under the leadership of Owen Arthur. He won an election in the last occasion, largely on the coattails of Prime Minister Prime Minister Marby. And his first act was essentially to cross the floor and to take up an opposition post against her. I think that he feels obligated to run again because persons like myself that would have been saying that his role was a very opportunistic one in terms of enhancing his own personal situation have to be proven wrong. So he has to demonstrate a commitment to running, and as a result, he's running in the best way that he can. The party that would have been legitimate opposition with the opportunity to name senators and had resources to be able to call a party together for the last 3.5 years has not done so. And I think it's tragic that we don't have a single constituency branch. We don't have party activities. 2 senators that were so vocal, neither of them are running as candidates. So the PDP has been a huge dud, quite frankly. And now we're hearing about an alliance. And my sense is that the alliance is being cobbled together largely so that Reverend Adderley does not have to appear as though he's backing out of it. But frankly, I don't know that his soul and his heart was really in opposition politics or building a political party. I think he essentially is just doing it so that he can say that he had a genuine interest in taking this thing forward. As for the others, the UPP has been around for a couple of years, and one has to admire their enthusiasm. The other political entities, I believe, is the Kingdom of God Party and Solutions Barbados, and I don't remember the names of a lot of them. They do not impact significantly on the politics. Nonetheless, they have indicated that they'll be running on this occasion, and they have an agenda that they want to advance, which is fine. Cumulatively, my sense is that if they get to 1% support or 2% support, they would have been able to get a lot. In a narrow election, the last one was not narrow, they will take support away from the Democratic Labour Party. And I think this is an important point that has to be made. The only entity to whom these parties are a threat is the Democratic Labour Party. And I can't say this enough. The belief that these parties threaten the government in some way is absolute nonsense in terms of the history of Barbadian politics, in terms of the history of Caribbean politics, and what we've seen in terms of the data. The threat is to the Democratic Labour Party.
Well, a lot to digest, and of course we'll be talking to you a whole lot more as we go down to January 19th with these general elections. Peter, always nice chatting with you. I'm pretty sure we'll see you on X-Trail shortly, but be good and be safe until next time.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
Appreciate your time. Meanwhile, in the constituency of St. James South, the DLP's Ronnie Yearwood is saying that he's ready to represent the people there. In the last parliament, the seat was held by Barbados Labour Party's candidate, Sandra Husbands. Crystal Hoyt has more.
Democratic Labour Party candidate for St. James South, Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, is hoping to not just improve the lives of constituents, but Barbadians.
Part of what I am trying to do is offer fresh ideas, offer fresh voices, new policy initiatives for not only this constituency, but for the country, and hopefully that we can build something new. The reality is that Barbados cannot continue in the way it is. The model of development, the way that we do things, tax and spend, we have to find new ways to raise revenue, and we have to find new ways to restructure our welfare and our social services.
He says he's looking forward to representing the people of St. James South.
The people of St. James South have taken me into their heart and their homes, and I'm really looking forward to representing them and their particular issues and their views. And that's what these canvases are about. It's really to hear the people and understand what they want from us.
But Barbados Labour Party incumbent Sandra Husbands is confident that she will retain this seat. Husbands says she's been an active representative meeting the needs of constituents.
Even in this term, where it was so challenging with COVID, ash and the storm, but despite that we were able to still do things for constituents to improve their lives. One of the first things that we did, the electricals, for example, in Haynesville were extremely bad. With sparking, we had fires, And I kept advocating on their behalf to get that changed. And we were one of the first housing estates of government to be changed. And we actually have completed all of that work.
She hopes she can continue to work for the people. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Sports now. The Barbados Turf Club is hoping to take the next step and expand in 2022 following the success of last year's Boxing Day race day at the Garrison Savannah. Speaking to CBC Sports, the CEO of the Barbados Turf Club, Rosette Pierce, says having spectators occupy the stands for the first time on December 26 after 12 months was refreshing and a welcome boost to their coffers. The CEO believes with expanded COVID-19 testing, more people should be allowed to attend the races and take up closer vantage points around the facility.
Asked for permission for vaccinated people to use PCR and negative tests, rapid testing, whatever is necessary, because not everybody can have a vaccine. So that would be the next stage. And then once we jump over that hurdle, I would think that we should be able to move to the outside and have people back on the outside because it's a large open air area. And that, as far as I'm understanding, is the safest possible place to be in a pandemic, outside in the open, fresh air. And I've even tampered with the idea of operating much in the same way that the drive-in does, whereas people could pay for a car and park on the outside and still be in their own safe zone, bubble, whatever you wish to call it. So there are many things I've got running through my brain, and I've been bouncing those ideas off of the necessary health officials and so on, and they're quite receptive to a lot of the things that we've been discussing, and I believe that someday, very soon, we'll get to the point where we see people outside again in a safe manner. That's the key.
That's sports. Time now for a look at the weather. It's nice and cool outside to start the year. Third day in the year though, so please remember that it is Monday, January the 3rd. It's 25.9 degrees Celsius. It's feeling like 25 degrees Celsius as well, as the relative humidity stands at 65%. But we did have some heavy early morning downpours. The barometric pressure is 15.1 millibars today, and those winds are coming from the east-northeast at 32 kilometers per hour. Yes, we do apologize for the inconvenience there with the rest of our weather report, but we'll get that sorted out for you in our next newscast. That comes your way at noon, CBC Newsday. For now, I'm Shane Seeley. Up next, Pearson Boeing with the first edition of 2022 of Mornin Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday the 3rd of January 2022. Got to get accustomed to saying that now. 2022. I am Pearson Bowen, welcoming all of you right here in Barbados and across the world as well. Thank you for joining us every day, Monday to Friday on TV8 for Morning Barbados, on our Facebook streams as well. A very good morning to you too, and those of you choosing to view via our YouTube channel as well. Grateful for your company. Today we'll get to meet Mr. Executive of the St. Leonard's Boys School. He is reigning and they're about to launch out the next edition, and so we'll be talking to the teacher behind that initiative as well as we continue to celebrate the excellence of that school, the St. Leonard's Boys School. We get to meet the woman too behind Utopia Blends. her business is burgeoning, and certainly we want to celebrate her success with you right here on Morning Barbados today. She'll be joining us a little later on to talk about her business, what got her to this point, and what it is that she's offering you, and how it can enhance your culinary experience in Utopia Blends. We'll also be talking today about the Sandy Lane Charitable Trust, the Faith Marshall Harris Sandy Lane Charitable Trust Children's Helpline. A lot of words, but it has big impact, and it can make a tremendous difference in the lives of our young people and our children, and how we can all be a part of it so we rescue those who are in need of rescuing. Let's get started though with our conversations on CARICOM. It's Monday after all, and so we want to invite now, of course, His Excellency David Commichon, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, to join us, and let's have our conversations on CARICOM. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
Good morning, Pearson. Pleasure to be here in the year 2022.
Yeah, it's such a strange
number.
Yeah, we've survived. We're making it, and we shall make it with the grace of God, of course. 2022. Happy New Year to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. Same to you. I'm looking forward to it being a very meaningful and productive year for us.
Indeed so. Well, let's look back at the last 3 and some years that you've been ambassador for Barbados at the CARICOM level. How has it been for you?
Yes, you know, I thought that going into this new year, it would be a good time to reflect on the journey thus far. It's exactly 3.5 years. I took up my assignment at the July 2018 Heads of Government Conference that was held in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and you know, at that time there was a bit of a crisis in CARICOM. There had been some stagnation, particularly with the CARICOM single market and economy over a period of time, and Jamaica had put together this commission under former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, and they had produced this very critical Golding report outlining all of the stagnation and threatening that if something was not done urgently, that Jamaica should consider withdrawing from the CSME. Mm-hmm. So that was the kind of situation that I walked into in July 2018. And just to set the background, I think Barbadians need to be aware that Barbados plays a very, very important role in CARICOM. In fact, you know, there are 4 CARICOM countries that are known as the Big Four. And the Big Four are Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Barbados. In fact, we are referred to as the more developed countries, and it was the 4 of us that were the 4 founding members of CARICOM back in 1973. So the scholars of CARICOM tell you that in order for CARICOM to work well, at least 3 of the Big Four have to really be committed and really be at the table, you know, and taking responsibility, driving the process forward. And of all 4, really and truly, the one that really has a more solid integrationist record is Barbados. So Guyana opted out of the federation. The federation really collapsed because both Trinidad and Jamaica pulled out, and it was Barbados who continued to try to build the federation. So Barbados has always been the anchor of the regional integration movement. So I would say that when we got there in July 2018, I think you know, the saying was Barbados is back, and the saying Barbados is back resonated right across the conference, because I think that the kind of dynamism that Prime Minister Motley brought as the Prime Minister with lead responsibility for CARICOM, for the CSME, lead responsibility for the CSME, almost immediately began to dissipate the pessimism that surrounded the Golding report, because she made it very clear, look, we are committed to this CSME. We are going to drive this process forward. The subcommittee on the CSME had not met for years. She proposed that they were not going to meet once a year. In fact, they were going to meet quarterly. She proposed a special Heads of Government conference on the CSME in December of 2018 in Trinidad and Tobago. So I think coming out of that conference, word kind of went around the region that, look, action is about to start.
But then you wrote in representing Barbados. Right. And so as a consequence, there are a number of things that happened in CARICOM that you are part of. You know, and when we think of CARICOM, we can think of it from two perspectives, the market and the economy. And, you know, there we go. We're balancing both, and we're trying to get the peoples of the Caribbean to be able to understand both of them, how they work in tandem, how we can all together bring about the future success of CARICOM by how we integrate. And so there are a number of crises that would have occurred, and you played a part. I'm looking at you now in particular, playing a part in resolving a number of these issues. For instance, the issue of Haiti. And whilst Haiti continues, it's gone off the radar for a lot of us in some ways, it still is a hot spot. In CARICOM, what's the role that you've played so we can recognize what it is?
No, the record has really been outstanding in many areas. Yes, we had to deal with various crises. I would say the first crisis we had to deal with was the crisis of Venezuela. In January of 2019, when Juan Guaido declared himself president of Venezuela.
Yes.
And the Americans immediately recognized Guaido as president, and all the signs were there that we were going to have a military conflict in Venezuela that would have devastating consequences for our region. And immediately we had an emergency heads of government meeting. We came up with a strategy to avoid any military conflict in Venezuela. We put together a troika of CARICOM leaders. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Keith Rowley, Prime Minister Motley, and the then Secretary General of CARICOM, and they immediately went off to the United Nations to meet the Secretary General and to meet some of the big powers at the UN Security Council, and to make the point that the Caribbean must be a zone of peace. There must be no military intervention in Venezuela. And I think CARICOM played a very, very important role in diffusing the Venezuela crisis. And in fact, Barbados then went on to even play a special role, because you may remember, Norway was brokering discussions between the Venezuelan government and the Guaido opposition, and they reached out to Barbados to host two of the negotiating sessions. So from I think the Venezuela issue is where CARICOM really showed the critical role it could play in pursuing a diplomacy of peace and pushing forward this notion that the Caribbean is a zone of peace. There was also the issue of Haiti. Yes, we have tried our best to deal with Haiti. We were successful in getting the United Nations Security Council to hold a special session on Haiti. And CARICOM has really stepped up to the plate, and we have said, look, we take responsibility for Haiti, and we are willing to bring all the parties to the table to sit down and negotiate a Haitian solution to the crisis. But it is really for the Haitians now to take up that CARICOM offer. I think CARICOM has done as much as it can to signal that we want to play a leading role in helping to solve the crisis. But you can only do so much. You have to get the reciprocating actions from the other side. And there was the Guyana elections, Pearson.
Yes. You're reading my list very well. Go ahead.
I have a little list there. There was the Guyana elections. Very, very difficult situation. At that time, Barbados was the chair of CARICOM, so Prime Minister Motley had to play a very important role in ensuring that turned out correct. Fortunately for us, we had a CARICOM electoral monitoring team in Guyana who observed the elections. And in fact, when all the other observers had left Guyana, that team remained in Guyana for several weeks and did yeoman service. We must always remember the role played by Professor Cynthia Barrow-Giles of the KFIL campus. She led that mission. And it was the work of that mission that helped us to understand what were the true results of that election, and help CARICOM to really take a very firm position in the interest of fairness and a fair and just counting of the votes of all the Guyanese people. And I think we arrived at the correct result in Guyana. And of course, there are other issues.
There are other areas.
Dealing with the issue of blacklisting throughout the whole
Yes.
process. The staging of UNCTAD in Barbados, these were all, I would say, highlights of our foreign policy. But there were also many achievements in building the CSME.
Which we're going to come to. I need to take a break here. We're going to come back and talk even some more about how Barbados has been able to, Barbados' role in CARICOM over the last 3 and bit years and the successes we've seen as a result of our involvement. So, Ambassador, stick where you are. We're coming right back after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 15 minutes away from 7 o'clock, and yes, we're having our conversations on CARICOM this morning. There are so many things that CARICOM had to handle over the last 3 and bit years. The health, the pandemic alone itself took up quite a significant portion of attention, education, transportation, jobs, and a whole like. Ambassador David Comshon joins us again as we continue to look at the work of the CSME and how all of those other concerns impacted the success of the CSME. How would you characterize how they have impacted CSME and the work of the CSME?
Well, you mentioned COVID. I mean, we can spend a whole program just talking about the work done with the pandemic, and that that was really tremendous. But in addition to all of that, there were very substantial achievements in relation to building the single market and single economy. I think the energy that Barbados brought, leading, being the country that has lead responsibility for the CSME, helped us to deliver, first of all, the protocol on contingent rights, which had been lapsing for well over a decade. We were able to make that operational, and that's the regime that complements the Skills National Program and the Rights of Establishment Program, the programs that allow people to move and live and work in different CARICOM countries. The protocol on contingent rights is the protocol that gives rights and benefits to spouses and minor children and parents of persons who move, entitled them to also live and work, entitled them to schooling and to education, to healthcare and so forth. So that was made operational. The Multilateral Air Services Agreement, that also came into fruition and was made operational. And I think it really came just in time. The Multilateral Air Services Agreement is the agreement among all the countries where we make air travel, we facilitate airlines, we facilitate regional airlines and we give them as many concessions and benefits as possible to make it possible for Caribbean companies and citizens to get involved in air travel. And I think it came at the right time because LIAT collapsed. And with the collapse of LIAT, it then required a number of small Caribbean airlines to step forward to be formed. And about 2 weeks ago, I had the pleasure of being at the Grantley Adams Airport to meet and greet the first flight of Inter-Caribbean Airlines, a very small CARICOM airline, their inaugural flight between Antigua and Barbados. So the MASA, what we call the MASA, the Multilateral Air Services Agreement, is a very important achievement to support the business of air travel in the Caribbean. We also were able to put in place the protocol on public procurement in the region. And that is where all the CARICOM countries agree that government contracts of a certain size, in the case of contracts to buy goods or purchase services, 300,000 and above, or in the case of construction contracts, $6 million and above, that we would open up those contracts to bidding by companies, CARICOM companies right across the region. So Barbadian companies, for example, would not be shut out of, let's say, Jamaican road rebuilding contracts, that they could compete for those contracts and vice versa. So that has been put in place. In addition, we have established the Community Notice Board. This is a platform, an ICT platform that gives businesses, companies, information about the public procurement contracts that are available for them to bid for. Also, we simplified a lot of the administrative procedures pertaining to the CSME. So, for example, in Barbados, right now, if you apply for a CARICOM skills certificate, you want to move across the region, it is only supposed to take no more than a week to get that accomplished. Barbados, and led by Prime Minister Motley, also paid a lot of attention to the Caribbean private sector, and bringing the Caribbean private sector more on board. We encourage them to form themselves into a Caribbean private sector organization, a regional organization. That organization has been given associate institution status in CARICOM, and we are working with them now to reduce the food, for them to produce more food, and to reduce the regional food import bill by 25%. In fact, Barbados has facilitated them. They're going to set up their headquarters right here in Barbados. They've negotiated a headquarters agreement with the Barbados government. Prime Minister also established the CARICOM Commission on the Economy, chaired by Professor Avinash Prasad, and including a lady who has since gone on to become the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala of Nigeria. And that commission produced a very important report that has made some very important recommendations about bettering the CSME, but also a very important recommendation that I think has been overlooked. That committee was the one that first put on the table this notion that a way to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic was for the IMF to issue a new round of special drawing rights. Special drawing rights are assets that are credited to member countries of the IMF, and all of us are member countries of the IMF. And this is very important because in August of 2021, the IMF actually issued 650 billion new special drawing rights. And we may not be aware of this, but all of our CARICOM countries benefited. Barbados benefited to the tune of 90.7 million US dollars. So those are assets that the IMF is holding for us that we can use to leverage US dollars, British pounds, euros, the Chinese money or the Japanese money. So it helps to bolster our foreign reserve. So many negotiating the single ICT space right
You
now.
see, there's so many other things.
You know, I
Listen.
mean, we can go on and on. We are negotiating with Flow and Digicel to remove all roaming
Roaming
charges.
rates, yes.
And there's so many issues, and of course, we haven't even gotten to the how we dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic,
Good.
which was
So,
again a story on its own, you know.
So it now means it needs to be continued. So Ambassador, we got to leave it right there. Thank you as always again for help. Again, it's almost like bullet point by point, showing us the success of Barbados' involvement in CARICOM and the work of CARICOM and the things that we've been able to achieve over your tenure while serving as Barbados Ambassador for CARICOM thus far. Thank you so much, Ambassador, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Pearson.
You're very welcome.
My pleasure as usual.
You're very welcome. All right, it's now 7 to the hour, and you know, Barbados on January the 1st declared that it will no longer be it's now banned people importing those non-efficient lighting fixtures. And so we had a conversation recently with Delano Canterbury of the Ministry of Energy about that. Let's take a look.
By generating energy, by generating heat. So the Control of Inefficient Lighting Act 2021 was passed in July of this year and has been developed to provide for the phased elimination of the importation, sale, and manufacture of inefficient electrical lamps in Barbados. And on January 1st, 2022, the first phase will commence, as you rightly said. And this prohibition will be on the import of any electrical lamp which emits less than 15 lumens per watt. The phase-out process is an integral element of the Barbados National Energy Policy and is focused on reducing the cost of energy in Barbados while increasing energy security and mitigating the negative effects of energy consumption on the local and global environments. We expect that the energy-efficient lighting could represent about a third of potential savings of electricity for residential, commercial, and public customers.
I'll tell you, when I buy any lighting fixture at all, I'm not saying no measuring this in that kind of way. So what's my experience when those are then prohibited, and what then do I replace them with?
Well, what we'll be looking at is there's a measure of brightness, which is the lumens, and the app looks at the lumens per watt. So the lumens is a measure of the total light output or the brightness of the light source. On the other side, the watts indicate the amount of energy a bulb utilizes when in use. Therefore, the most efficient lights are those that can produce a desired level of brightness utilizing less energy, which is measured in the lumens per watt. So when you go to purchase, all you want to do is to look at the total amount of lumens and divide it by the wattage. And that will tell you if it's above 15 or less. And at that stage, you would know not to purchase, well, not that you can't purchase it, because the prohibition right now is on the importation. But when the 1st of July 2022 rolls around, the prohibition would extend to the sale, the manufacture of those products.
So for the importer, you have between January and July, literally to get that excess stock off, because as of July, you will no longer be expected to put for sale those items that are beyond the 15. Now, I have to do the mathematics. So you're saying to me, look at the wattage, look at the luminous, and then make my division and see what it comes to. I can see Miss Jones, who works at the corner shop, say, I ain't doing that. Just tell me, I go for a 60 watt bulb or 45 watt bulb, and I should be within the range. Can it be as simple as that?
Well, what would happen for the consumer? The consumer will not necessarily have to make those decisions, because once we have attacked it from the supply side, then only efficient bulbs will be for sale. So the policing of it would be key in regard to ensuring that what is imported and what is for sale will be within the confines of the act.
It does not mean any major retrofitting necessarily at the moment. It just means that the next time around, you will be only purchasing those that fall within the law. Now, what does it mean in terms of cost savings for the individual?
Well, the cost savings, we believe, will be significant once you're transitioning from an inefficient to efficient. And we believe that at least a third of the electricity costs would be saved in regard to these more efficient light bulbs.
Solar. You know, there's a lot of talk about renewable energy and solar. Is that also a part of this initiative?
Well, not this initiative specifically, but in regard to the Barbados National Energy Policy, the movement to renewable energies is key, and solar is one of the energy sources that we're looking at, as well as wind, biomass, and ocean energy. So we will be looking to transition, and we are creating the enabling environment that would assist those persons who want to invest within those areas to help us to achieve our 100% fossil fuel free Barbados by 2030.
So for anyone watching this morning who is saying, well, why are we doing this in the first place? Why are we bothering to swap out the light bulbs and what we use? Why are we bothering at all? What do you say?
Well, the thing is that the world is now more environmentally conscious, and Barbados wants to be an example in regard to this. So one of the areas obviously is moving to renewable energies, technologies, but also we need to look at our demand for electricity, because the less we require in electricity means the less fossil fuels we burn, and the less our carbon footprint would be.
Is there an impact on cost in any way, and to the consumer that is, that should we purchase going forward any one of these switched up far more efficient lighting fixtures, that it should redound to our benefit?
We don't believe so, because switching to efficient light bulbs can help individuals save money on their electricity bill. For example, if you replace the 100 incandescent bulbs with more energy efficient LEDs or light emitting diode, this could mean a saving of almost $7,000 per year. And you can redeem your investment or recover your investment in slightly over 2 months. So the issue is that you can, in the medium term, enjoy savings from putting in the efficient light bulbs.
So to the home consumer, to the businessman, small or large, it is a good deal. It's a good way to go.
It is a good win-win.
Yeah, it really is. It sounds that way to me indeed. But from January the 1st, for the importer, how does he transition now? Because he may have had orders ahead of January the 1st. What happens to him?
Well, we would have been consulting extensively with the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry and like-minded individuals to indicate to them what was going to happen. They were a part of the process of developing the bill, and now we have the act. So we believe that it should be minimal, and that even now we see in the marketplace a significant amount of efficient lighting. So I think most persons have started this process, but we've now concretized it by having the act, so that we can ensure that the market will only be supplying efficient lights from between this period and when we end, which would be the first day of January 2024.
I'll give you a chance to remind people why this is of benefit to them. So explain it once again for everyone so they understand what this will mean from January the 1st and then July as well, for the consumer and for the business person. What's in it for them?
Well, for the consumer and the business person, what we will see is that persons will be utilizing more efficient lighting, and it will bring down your electricity bill. It will also add to your social impact in terms of the environment. We will now becoming more environmentally friendly, and it would just be the way of the future. It is the way to go.
It is the way to go. So for anyone watching who wants to know more on this, where can we go to read up a whole lot more so we are far more abreast of how it impacts us? Where can we go?
Well, you can go to our website, which is www.smartenergybarbados.com, and there you will see a host of information in regard to the act, but not just the act. You can also see what we're doing with respect to the Barbados National Energy Policy and all of the activities there in regard to the transition. And I would like to say to viewers that it is important that we all play our part, as achieving this goal will be a significant investment.
After all, we've been talking a lot about energy saving and being far more climate aware, and certainly this is one way we can add to that as well, or footprint to it as well. So go to smartenergybarbados.com, smartenergybarbados.com, one big long word, smartenergybarbados.com, and you can click and read a whole lot more and see for yourself the ways in which you can benefit significantly by using far more efficient lighting in your properties going forward. The prohibition for importers starts January the 1st, and you have that grace period until July to get it all ready to release your stock, because of July thereafter. We're all expected to be consuming only those efficient lighting fixtures. Thank you so much, Delano Canterbury, for joining us this morning, Acting Project Director with the Project Monitoring and Coordination Team in the Ministry of Energy, Small Business and Entrepreneurship. Do you ever have to say that?
Yes, all the time.
It's a mouthful indeed. But congratulations indeed on this effort, and best of luck with the project. Thank you so much, sir.
And thank you very much, and good day.
You're very welcome, and likewise. 3 minutes after 7 o'clock, we'll take that break here. We're back with the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time now for your headline news on this January 3rd, and expect what will be the shortest campaign in electoral politics of Barbados' history, but also an action-packed campaign as well. This is the assessment coming from the director of CADRIS, a leading political commentator here in Barbados, Peter Wickham. He's been talking about those highlights of the upcoming general election here in Barbados leading up to January 19th. One of those highlights is some of those who have returned from the cold on the DLP side, the Democratic Labour Party side. Here's what he had to say.
I think that will generate some interest in terms of whether or not they will have an impact. You mentioned the St. John race just now in your special report. That's one of my key races of interest because of the fact that the margin is so narrow in terms of the support in those constituencies. If we look at it statistically, a safe seat is usually a seat in which the level of support is around 68-69%. There are only 3 seats in Barbados where the level of support is not in that vicinity. For that reason, I would say that those are the 3 key races that we need to look at in terms of likelihood of change. Of course, last election was unusual, so it is possible that this election will also be unusual in terms of a bounce back, which means that there's several of the others that may also make an impact. And I think that that's really the intrigue associated with this election.
And those former ministers who have returned to active political elective politics are Dr. Dennis Lowe, Richard Seeley, the former tourism minister, Michael Lashley, the former transport minister, and Dr. David Estwick. Also, the BLP, in replacing its candidates early, according to Mr. Wickham, was the right move and will play into the success of their new faces in the upcoming polls.
Fortunately for the Barbados Labour Party, most of the new faces are known quantities. I forgot to mention Ronald Springer, who is new in St. Andrew. Was a senator in the government, in the administration, and again had the opportunity to walk with Mr. Payne through the constituency, and they have that level of familiarity. So I would say that the BLP new faces have the benefit of notice for the task at hand, and as a result, they're likely to be, I would say, in a relatively good position to take over. I'm a bit more concerned about the newcomers on the Democratic Labour Party side. You have newcomers like Neil Marshall, for example, a young attorney at law and a decent chap, who would not have been in the constituency particularly long time to make an impact on people and to get to know them. Those are some of the newcomers that I think are going to be challenged on this occasion, especially as the election has been called so early.
Now, with nomination day being in just a few hours, political hopefuls have been in their various constituencies fine-tuning for the battle ahead. One of those key battlegrounds is in St. John. In the 2018 election, you may remember, history was created when Charles Griffith became the first ever Barbados Labour Party candidate to win the seat that was considered a Democratic Labour Party stronghold. He's confident in completing the double, as he's been able to achieve some key upgrades in several areas such as infrastructure during his term in office.
I want to juxtapose what happened in the last 3.5 years against what happened for the last 60 years in the constituency of St. John. So we have a situation where roads were done in St. John. We have in excess of maybe 30 houses that pit toilets were removed. We have the possibility of, in the near future, to have a national park at Poole. In addition to that, there's not a problem in St. John anymore with water.
Meanwhile, the DLP's new candidate, Andre Worrell, is also confident, and he believes he can bring the seat back home for his party.
I'm making sure that I get out there in meeting with the people of St. John. I am open and accessible. If anybody wants me, they can give me a call. They can interact with me on my Instagram pages. Reach out to my campaign office is in Clifton Hall, St. John. Reach out to me, and I will be there to listen to them and take them on board. But to me, the feeling is very good and it's very encouraging from people. As I drive through communities, I am getting a good response.
And finally, the chairman of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission does not think there was any conflicting information given by either the head of the COVID-19 monitoring unit, Ronald Chapman, or Queen's Counsel Hal Gollop as far as COVID-19 and the upcoming general elections are concerned. Leslie Haynes, QC, in a media manager's session yesterday to address electoral issues, said 2 points of view were presented on COVID-positive patients not being able to vote, but there was no conflict.
The problem that we have is one of interpretation. I understood Mr. Chapman to talk along medical and health lines. I understood Mr. Gollop to talk along legal lines. I did not intervene, nor did I say anything, but there's something in law called medical legal issues. And as far as I am concerned, the issue of COVID and the question that was asked was a medical legal issue. So Mr. Chapman's point of view, and a member of the COVID unit, Mr. Gollop was speaking from a legal point of view. I didn't see any dispute or issue between them.
And that's your headline news for this Monday, January the 3rd. I'm Shane Seeley. It's back over to you, Pearson.
Shane, thank you. Our time is now 11 minutes after 7 o'clock. We shall take a break here and we will be back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
13 past the hour of 7 o'clock now. Yes, I know you traditionally would have expected our crumbs question of the day, but not today. Not today. Actually, what we do have instead is a good decision of the day to share with you, something for you to ponder and to think about. So we ask you today to celebrate your small wins. We celebrate another year ending and a new one beginning. So let us look back and appreciate the experiences we've had and learn from the mistakes that we would have made. And better still, let us look forward to this new year with the anticipation and excitement of a child. Embrace the new year with a positive outlook and a determined spirit to make all of your dreams come true. So today and every day going forward, celebrate your small wins. Every little win you've had, celebrate it. It's worthy of celebration. We'll take that break here. We'll come back to meet that woman behind Utopia Blends after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
16 minutes after 7 o'clock now. Who wouldn't like to add some extra flavor to their foods? Yes, indeed. That's where Utopia Blends come into place. And so Michelle Johnson, the woman behind Utopia Blends, has found the answer to that question. Who wouldn't like to? Michelle, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How do you do?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm great on this splendid morning.
Oh, I love the way you
Very,
said
very
it.
blessed to be here.
So are all of us, to be alive, to be able to celebrate with you. Utopia Blends. How long has Utopia Blends been in operation now?
I've only launched on December 1st, actually, so just about a month.
Michelle, congratulations. Just about a month.
Thank you very
Was it
much.
scary to do so, to launch?
Yes, it was. I had to make the decision to stay at home and focus on it so I could get it up and running. And it's been a journey since then. Very,
Wow.
very, very rewarding.
Oh, that's great to hear. So tell me a little bit about what you had to process to get to be so bold to start the business.
Honestly, it had to do with my financial status. I was just really, really tired of being broke. So then when the pandemic hit, everybody was home. I had a lot of time to think, and the idea for it just emerged. One day I wanted to do candles, and then the next day I wanted to do oils, and then I found a way to incorporate everything into my business. So I'm a chef at heart, so I decided to start with the oils, and I figured it would be easy, it'd be quick, and it would be healthy. So that's how we got the oils.
You know, we sit and we buy the oils and we take it for granted that those in those factories know what they're doing, they do it. How was the process for you? How did you have to learn this, or did you already know this in terms of how to make oils that we'll cook with?
Well, I'm a chef, like I said, so all of my training came from on the job. So I already knew how to make it. It was just a
Mm.
matter of applying it, and I produce it myself.
From home?
Yes, I do from my kitchen. Yes, please.
Michelle, this is fantastic. So what is
Hopefully,
it?
hopefully one day I'll be able to branch out and get somebody else manufacture it for me.
That's our desire for you as well. So you sat down one day, you said, you know what, I'm going to add some what and what to make what. So tell me about some of the oils that you
Herbs.
make. Some herbs. Okay.
Yes, please. So, the restaurant that I used to work for before, they are the farm to table concept, and that in itself inspired me to kind of give back, to be a part of a movement, something bigger than myself. So, I decided I already knew certain things like which herbs will go better with which meats. So I just decided to roll with that. Everybody is already using olive oil, so I blended rosemary and garlic together and called it a rosemary and garlic blend. I decided to blend some lemongrass, and do you know how lemongrass smells when it licks up? The aroma is just awesome. So I did a few other things, and yes, this is cilantro and the basil. People use this mainly for plating purposes, but you can season your meat with it.
Wow.
I have a Scotch bonnet and Guinness thyme as well, and that has a little bit of a spice to it, but it's perfect for anything. The same thing you do with normal oil, you can do with these oils. It's just the extra to it.
I like that the extra and you know you can't describe it, it's just an
It's just, it's just you can't describe it. It makes any amateur cook into Chef Boyardee.
Well, that's good to hear because I am quite amateur when it comes to cooking. So you're saying to me, you can put it in when you're doing your regular cooking, let it boil up with the water, or you can use it to fry, for those who like to fry.
Fry an egg. Yes. Fry an egg, season up your meat. You can even build a vinaigrette using these oils. It's as simple as literally 1, 2, 3. So it's so easy.
Little as
Can't
1, 2,
go
3.
wrong.
So here it is now, and I mean, you decided you're going to try your hand at this, having had your experience as a chef, and you'll make your own Utopia blends, and you're blending all of these wonderful herbs that will create this aromatic experience for so many people, but it enhances our flavors as we go. That you wanted now to take it to market, so from December the 1st, that's what you did, you started it. But leading up to that, you had to work on packaging and labeling and all of those other bits. How did you do that?
I relied heavily on the entrepreneurs that came before me on Instagram, to be honest. People like Shop Post, Destination Delivery, Flawlessly Detailed. She did my logo, my beautiful logo
I
here.
see that, yes.
Utopia Blends. Yes, I relied heavily on social media, and I just took my pen, my paper, and I soaked up as much as I could because I'm green at this. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I thank those guys for already paving the way for me, and it's been a journey so far. It's been a journey.
Along the journey, I'm told that you were a part of a pitch to win competition.
Yes, I was.
Tell me about. Oh, congratulations! Congratulations! Tell me about it.
Thank you very much.
Tell me about it.
2 weeks leading up, I actually met up with some of these representatives at Sky Mall. I was there to pick up some packaging for the bottles, and I came across a whole exhibit of different clients, and so I already had the information I needed to apply. 2 weeks later, I'm scrolling Instagram and I see pitch it to win it competition by the same people, and I'm like, this is fate. This has to be fate. So I registered. I got the call the same night, and working that pitch was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to done. I was so nervous. I was babbling. I was sweating. I was talking a lot, and me and my sister actually we did the finished product together. She came and helped me make sense of the nonsense I had on the paper. It was just words, so she kind of helped me put it together. And the competition had already started, and I was just talking. My whole face just kind of locked up, and I just started pouring, and I pitched it, and I was victorious. I knew that God was with me. So
amen.
I'm really, really grateful for the experience.
Amen. So there's a lot expected of you now that you know that God was with you, that God has blessed you enough to do what you're doing. So Utopia Blends is now on the market. How can people watching today get to try your Utopia Blends, this extra added flavor?
Well, I am currently in Smart Med Pharmacy in Salter, St. George. Or you can order from my website, sorry, not my website, my Instagram page or my Facebook page. We do deliveries or we do pickups. It's your choice. You just fill out the form. And you can also find me on omniverse.com. It's a platform where lots of vendors go. It's like an online shopping mall. You just go, you click in Utopia, and you boom, bang, you see my products.
You see the products, and then you enjoy those delicious products as well. I'm going to have to try it. I'm not a cook. I am by far not a cook. Anybody who knows me knows I collect food and I take home to eat. I don't cook. But I would want to try it because it sounds as though it's really, really quite flavorful. And you know, us in the Caribbean, we love flavor when it comes to our foods.
Exactly.
In terms of now going beyond this little 166 square miles to the international market, what are your plans?
I am hoping that maybe in a year or so I could broaden my horizon. The same Omniverse, they have ties to outside market. So I'm looking to work heavily with them to see what I can do. But for now, it's just getting my baby up off the ground and getting her in circulation, getting people to try it, getting it into their kitchens. That's the groundwork that I'm at right now. And I'm praying and hoping that this new year is successful for me because I know that I have a product here that people will want. So
that's beautiful.
I'm just really, really hopeful.
You said you wake up every day to take care of this baby of yours, this business of yours. You know, when a baby cries, you got to deal with it. When a baby, whatever, you have to deal with it. How are you with time management of this baby product of yours, Utopia Blends?
So far, it's not been too crazy. I don't have people banging down my door right now. But my aim is to market, and I'm hoping with this TV slot and my press release that people bumming down my door and they have to help hire somebody to help me.
First, let me bomb down the door. Let me break down her door. Let's get some people out. You know, let's do this. And so we can find her on social media. You're at Utopia in Blends on Instagram. Utopia. Show it on the screen again for production crew. Yeah, Utopia Blends again. Let's remind people how we can reach you online, and then you can go to our website. What's the name of the website?
Omniverse.com or Omniverse/official. It's on Instagram, or you can just type into your search engine Omniverse.com.
Right, so there it is on your screen. On Instagram, it is Utopia Blends in more and more, as we say. The letter N, more.
Just
Utopia Blends
N.
and more. And you can go to omniverse.com and you can find her there as well. But just search Utopia Blends and you will find Michelle Johnson and these extra flavors that she's been able to create. And we can bomb down her door. Let's bombard her. You said we can come to you or you can come to us, right?
Yes,
Whatever
I can.
way.
Destination delivery is helping me out with that aspect of it. And I just want to say hi, good morning, thank you for the support. They have been very supportive throughout this whole deal. This
is great. And we want to support you here on Mornin Barbados as well. So folks, let's do this. Let's try it. So what are the product? What do you have right now that we can order?
I have Scotch bonnet and Guyanese thyme in 10 ounce and 5 ounce. I have lemongrass, lime, and lemon zest in the 10 ounce and 5 ounce. I have the basil and cilantro, and I also have the rosemary and garlic, also in 10 ounce and 5 ounce.
Boy.
So feel free to call, come, just holler at your girl.
Try it today, try it today, try it today. Utopia Blends.
You will not be disappointed.
I guarantee you that. So just go on to social, check it for yourself, go to the website and check it, see it for yourself, but give her a contact, an email or something and get your own. Get your own today. Get it in there. Omniverse, OMNIVERCE.com Omniverse. It's right there on your screen. Take a look quickly, everybody. Come on, write it down. And you check out Michelle Johnson today and check all of these blends from Utopia Blends. They are going to enhance your cooking experience. The kitchen will smell like heaven, and everybody will just want to taste it as well. Guaranteed, from Michelle Johnson and Utopia Blends. Michelle, thank you. Much success with this. I just hope and pray that you are bombarded in the way that we would love it to be, and that so many people get to experience what you do, because you're doing it from a place of love and experience. And so with that, it can only be great. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Have a
You're
good
very
morning.
welcome. And likewise, indeed.
Bye.
Michelle Johnson is her name. She's the founder of Utopia Blends. Try it today. Let's enjoy the flavor and enjoy the experience. We're going to take a break right here. We're back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 29 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock. Let's turn our attention now to Mr. Executive with the St. Leonard's Boys School and introduce you to the man behind the concept and the reigning Mr. Executive. Winston Cumberbatch is the 5th and 6th year head at St. Leonard's Boys. He's also the coordinator of Mr. Executive. With him is Tariq Griffith, the reigning Mr. Executive 2017. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tariq, Louise, let's start with you. I mean, it's almost 5 years ago that you caught the title of Mr. Executive. Do you remember that moment?
Well, if I can remember correctly, yes, please. That was the day right after my birthday.
Really?
Yes, please.
So it was quite a birthday gift.
Yes, please. It was an amazing experience for me. As you can see, I'm dressed for work, and that is actually because of the competition. I work at the City of Bridgetown Cooperative Credit Union as a full-time employee. And I thank Mr. Cumberbatch and Mr. David Kelman, who is he's a marketer at UOB. I really thank those guys.
Well done indeed. Now, you said it was an amazing experience. What about the experience in going through that program that you would cause you to describe it as amazing?
Okay, when it first started out, I was very interested in it. I heard about it while we were at Hoppers. I said to myself, okay, so this seems like something that I would be quite interested in. So I started out. At first, don't get me wrong, I wanted to quit. I didn't think that I would come out on top because of the other guys. I knew that at school there were, some of the top guys at school.
Yes.
So there was a point in the competition where I really wanted to give up. But then I could remember a day I was at school and I had my cell phone and it dropped. And I came home and I spoke to my mother. I told my mother, well, mommy, I was at school and my phone dropped. And my mother told me to do the competition, continue this competition because you're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually what inspired me to continue to push. And today, I'm the winner.
Your mother caused you to persevere. That's fantastic support from home. What did you have to do leading through the competition to win it? What did you have to do?
Well, there were three, I think I remember correctly, I think there were 3 segments. We had to do a speech on how we would improve our own business. And then we had to do a dinner. That is where you had to treat a lady in front of an audience, which I enjoyed that part mostly. And then we had to wear a suit, a model in front of an audience.
Okay. But you believe having had that experience was what caused you to land a job at the credit union, and here you are being a success of yourself.
Yes, please. They actually did.
This is fantastic. Mr. Kamabat, you're hearing the proof of the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. And the pudding has said, it's an excellent campaign. Why did you think it necessary to have the Mr. Executive at the St. Leonard's Boys School?
Well, firstly, around that time, there were a lot of pageants going on in various secondary schools. But, we're the boys' school, so we don't have a lot of ladies around. But I still wanted to give that kind of incentive to the guys. And I thought of having a business pageant, all right? And hence the name Mr. Executive came about. It really was to allow the students to cultivate the good business ethics that we are always teaching them. And to also develop gentlemanly quality. That was a key part of the whole thing. And to be equipped for the world of work. All right, so we just put a panel together, a group of teachers, and we made a committee, and from there was history.
You can have a concept, but the buy-in is also what's going to be critical. So concept was at you. Then you had to take it to the next stage and get with the head teacher to agree, the principal to agree, and everybody else to come along with you. How was that for you?
Well, that's the one thing I could always say is the highlight of St. Leonard's School. There's a lot of support there. Principal, teachers, everyone was very supportive. In fact, we even got the World Scholars Association involved, mentors, past students, the PTA, sponsors, and I want to make sure that I highlight some sponsors for this year's program. But these persons came together and make it what it is. And it is really a good thing to see when the community come together to encourage young men to really excel. And especially in the area of gentleman qualities, though, because we know there's something that is lacking in our society a lot these days. The chivalry and those things that, we need to develop in young men.
Oftentimes when it comes to competitions or what people will call pageants, the boys are going to shy away and say, not me, I ain't doing that, not me. How is it in terms of getting the boys actively involved and piquing their interest enough for them to step forward and say, I'm going to be a part of it? How was that for you?
All right, well, I can say this. The prizes were really, really nice, I must tell you that. The support was there. In fact, the second runner-up was $300, the first runner-up was $400, and the Mr. Executive was $800. Each winner also got trophies, electronic devices, and hampers. But I thought the key thing was to get them to identify within themselves that they can achieve, and every morning at assembly, I will keep pushing this, all right? Let me add, Pearson, that because it was a business pageant, something that we didn't have this year, we've introduced this year, and I want to highlight that. And that is a $20 challenge being facilitated by the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation. All right? And that is running for 8 weeks. In fact, they are actually having a workshop starting tomorrow, running to the 6th. And following that, there'll be the launch. All this will be at the KFL School of Business. And so this is something that I think helps to pull the business aspects out of the students. And we're looking forward for this.
Is it only open then to those students at the school who are in business studies?
No, not at all. Actually, it is students from across the year group. We have first year, fifth, second year, fifth, sixth formers. They have all come from different classes. And the fact that they're being trained, for example, the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation in the workshop, be looking at things such as business model canvas, marketing strategies, and financial record keeping. I want to thank at this point in time the Ministry of Energy, Small Business and Entrepreneurship, because they have actually partnered with us. And the idea is that they will be awarding the Minister's Award to the top business coming out of that first segment. And that is grand. That is really grand. The three stages go like this. Let me explain this, Pearson. Stage one is the first preliminary stage, is basically focused on academic performance, dress and deportment, along with the $20 challenge. Then from that, we have actually 26 students registered. But then after stage one, the top 10 will go through to stage two. And there we'll be focusing on attendance, work, conduct, and manners. There'll be a dress inspection. And each student will have to do a speech on a chosen topic. And then from that, we have the 5 finalists. And this is where Tariq was highlighting those features. The job interview, sorry, not the job interview, the day at the office is what Tariq was talking about, because part of the program involves old scholar mentors who are in business attached to each finalist. And they were supposed to spend a day at the workplace of the mentor and be assessed thereby. That is how Tariq got that job, because he was at COB. And he did so well that when school was finished, when he left school, they called him to get a full-time job.
Fantastic. So it's a really great initiative. Tariq, you must feel so proud of yourself. You know, one, you started up by your interest, your phone dropped and you wanted a phone. So mommy says, enter the competition to pay for the phone. And apart from winning the competition and getting your phone, you also got a job. Tell me, what advice would you give to the boys of St. Leonard's Boys School? Give them some advice and to encourage them along the way of the competition and to encourage them to be a part of the competition.
For me, I would tell the students that this is very beneficial, and I think that everyone should try it, right? Don't get scared like how I was before, because as you can see, look at me now.
Yes.
You know, I'm doing big things all around. Just push. You know, give your all into it, and you'll get through.
You will get through. You'll be spotted just as Tariq has been spotted indeed. And so, Mr. Cumberbatch, this must make you feel absolutely proud that it is redounding to the benefit of the students and that you're seeing great outcomes, changes in behavior, changes in approach. And those no doubt would have been some of the benchmarks that you would have set for yourself when you developed and conceptualized the program. Most certainly, Pearson. And when you see the element like the date, I mean, I'm sorry you couldn't be there to see that, Pearson. That's the highlight of the whole show, all right? I'm sorry we didn't get the little clip show, but that showed Tariq actually taking his date up, and we had the platform set up like an actual restaurant. And so it brought out chivalry, table etiquette, because they were trained in these things as well. In fact, the 5 finalists were taught communication and public speaking, dress, grooming, and etiquette, job applications and resumes, interviews, and work ethic. And this is all preparing for the finals. But let me mention, I want to mention some other key people who have made this possible, Pearson, because I can't leave these out. Sure. For example, we have the Taylor Unit Guardian Life of the Caribbean, the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation, their facilitators, the Trust Fund, Jose and Jose is an old scholar, Porta Repairs, the CEO is also an old scholar, Sam J. Health and Bakery, another old scholar, Isan Peters, old scholars. So you can see the involvement of the old scholars. Yes. And then we've got the Board of Management, the PTA, and the Old Scholars Association as a body. And then, of course, other mentors who are working with these guys. So look, this is an all-round program. And even if the students do not win, only 5 can reach the finals, and only 1 will win. Yes. But I've told them all, each of you are winners, because you will leave there having been exposed to good business training. Some of them might become entrepreneurs as a result of this. And they will develop how to become a real man. For me, a real man is being a gentleman. All right, well said indeed. This is great work coming from St. Leonard's Boys School. We've had so many success stories over the past few months we've been sharing with our viewers here from your school. And I really want to encourage you to continue doing what you're doing very well in shaping the future, shaping these young men into the kinds of men, you know, they ought to be and to add to our society. This is fantastic. Tariq, congratulations. I don't want to make you late for work because late is not accepted at all. So I hope you're within walking distance practically of work. But congratulations and all the best. Keep doing positively what you've been doing, Tariq. Well done.
Thank you very much. Will do so.
You're very welcome. And Mr. Cumberbatch, keep us informed. Do you want to track it along with you? We'd like to meet the next set of Mr. Executives for 2021-22 as well. And so, you know, we are always open. Just contact us and we'll see how we can help. All right?
That's certainly, Pearson. We've invited the media to cover the launch on the 7th. And so we invite Barbadians to look out for that in all the news media outlets so they can, you know, inspire these guys with their support.
Indeed. Thank you so much, gentlemen. All the best going forward.
Thank you too, Pearson.
You're very welcome. Now, we try to share it with you, and I believe we have it now. Tariq and that winning performance at Mr. Executive 2017.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
11 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock this Monday morning, the 3rd of January 2022. And so we turn our attention now to everything we can possibly do to help our people, our young children as well. And so we are joined this morning by Faith Marshall Harris, who is the founder of the Faith Marshall Harris Sandy Lane Charitable Trust Children's Helpline. Good morning to you, Mrs. Marshall Harris.
Good morning, Preston.
Happy New Year to you, by the way.
Same to you.
Thank you so much. April marks 3 years that the helpline has been offered to all of us to be able to help our children. How has it been over those 3 years?
Well, I have to be very honest with you and say rocky, because of course, and it's not an excuse, but COVID has done some damage really to the structures that we put in place, the way that we hope to operate. But in a sense, we also learned how to navigate around those issues. So we have now come to a place where we have worked out a formula that fits the problems that you would have with lockdown, with not being able to meet children where they are, which is we had hoped to be very much in schools, and we couldn't do that. So we've, I think, met the challenges with the help of the 30 volunteer social workers who themselves have had their challenges because some of the social workers could work effectively in this environment and some others couldn't. So, but we have soldiered on and we are still here, and I hope providing help, comfort, support to our children.
Those challenges that the children face are not going anywhere. They may have multiplied over the time owing to how people have been confined. What are some of the serious concerns that have been brought to your attention via the Children's Helpline?
Well, the perennial problem, of course, which caused the setup of the helpline is that some of our children, unfortunately, are abused in the home, within the community. And of course, one of the problems that we first face is that our communities didn't always recognize what was abuse, because we took it for granted that children should be beaten into shape. They should be taught by way of physical punishment what to do. That was one of the givens in our society, which we are trying to combat. Mm-hmm. Secondly, that when children are neglected, a lot of adults do not recognize that as abuse. That neglecting children, not satisfying their needs, I don't mean their wants, their needs, is a form of abuse. And where you can't do it, adults in their lives have an obligation and a duty to try to apply to agencies to assist them. Mm-hmm. But children have a right to that support and protection. So getting that message across has been one of the hurdles. The third and most important hurdle, which is what I'm dealing with now, is that children do not want to report when they're experiencing abuse. Well, I should say they want to, but they're afraid to. They're afraid of repercussion. They're afraid that if it is known by the abuser that they have reported it, that matters will get worse. And that is a reasonable fear. Of course, it also is rooted in our culture where children are not really trained to speak out in defense of themselves. They're really, this is now slowly changing, but a lot of our children are brought up to feel that they ought to be quiet, stay in the corner, mm-hmm. don't say anything. And so as a result, the helpline has recognized that we've got to meet that challenge head on, mm-hmm. because we found that the majority of our more serious cases really came by way of adults calling us. That is, godparents, significantly grandparents, a lot of grandparents call, neighbors, aunts, interested and concerned adults. Teachers have done a lot of reporting. Mm-hmm. And although there's even teachers who are not with the children in a face-to-face, but they become aware through the children that there is a problem. And they have been doing a lot in terms of reporting. And a more significant portion, which will be of interest to you, is the media. The media has played a tremendous role in alerting us where there are problems, where they get to know of something, but rather than just simply publish the story, they say, well, we will also contact the helpline and say, look, here is a problem developing. You might want to look at it. And so we have now been doing a special launch, a special blast out to the adults in children's lives saying, if you see something, hear something, you're aware of something, let us know. And that is really where our major campaign is at the moment, reaching the adults in children's lives.
Then my question is, what can you do about it once people report it?
Well, this is what we do, and this is how we were structured to work. We refer matters to the agencies, the social agencies, such as welfare, child care board, whichever agency can help. And we, of course, work with the Family Conflict Unit, which has been superb. That is the Family Conflict Unit of the Barbados Police Service. They have been a tremendous help in sorting out problems, the more serious problems. Beyond that, we also work to answer the need. So we don't only counsel and refer matters, but our operation is that we actually, if it is a material need that we can meet,
then you will seek to do so.
Where we, yes, we
then
will,
you will seek to do so.
Actually.
What I will do, if you just give me a second, what I will do is I'll just share with people some of the information, the numbers that they can call the Children's Helpline. If you can call 537-3644, 537-3644, or you may call 266-3644. That's by WhatsApp. Send a note there as well. 266-3644 or 537-3644, offering 24-hour help, counseling, feeding, children advocacy, or educational camps. So if you see something, you say something. So Mrs. Marshall Harris, no doubt it's a very big work that you're doing, and congratulations on it.
Yes, in fact, let me pause at this time to pay tribute to our partner in this, who they partially fund the helpline, and we started out with them actually. But the helpline grew out of something I was doing sort of informally and officially through my law firm. And then as it got bigger and bigger, I needed a co-sponsor, and the Sandy Lane Charitable Trust said yes to that, and they have been magnificent because they recognize that just helping children materially, they also needed what we were doing, which was the referrals, the counseling, and so on. So they have been our big donors, and I have to give them absolute credit because, as you know, during the lockdown, I think in 2020, they contributed some $6 million to feeding people during 2020. But they said that they really had to look for some extra money wherever they could to give some money to the helpline. I mean, I was really impressed that despite the fact that the source of their funding had dried up, their donors mainly are persons who are tourists to Barbados, who are part of their Gulf Classic, who come to their big ball. That's how they raise their funds.
Yes.
Through actually a tourism-related activity. And that had dried up. In 2020, they had none of it. But they went to their coffers and said, we've got to find something for the helpline, because during this time, the mental health issues of children would have become greater. And so they made sure that our helpline could keep going. And that's how we keep going, because of their commitment and dedication to the children of Barbados.
And because of your commitment and dedication to the children of Barbados, we want to encourage all of you, if you see something, know something, hear something, pick up the helpline right away. Get on the helpline and let's help our children. So the numbers again to call are on your screen. Take a look. There are 537-3644 or 266 3644, or you can send an email if you care to childhelpline.barbados@gmail.com. childhelpline.barbados@gmail.com. Yes, you may.
Yes, I wanted to add here, which has been working quite well, especially during this COVID time. I thought I needed to do this. And I have added my own personal number to these numbers for anything that's really urgent and pressing, especially legal matters too. And that is my own number, 264
Yes.
9278. 264-9278. I am taking a lot of personal calls when people can't get through to the other numbers, and also my personal email, fmhfamilylaw@gmail.com. And this is to make sure that we cover anything that's really an emergency that needs instant help. And I can then get on to certain persons that I relate to very well in the community, as I said, the Family Conflict Unit, the Child Care Board, and I can make a personal call and get it done. Or we are really the engine for us is volunteer social workers, 30 social workers who volunteer to help to answer these calls. And in another way the helpline works is that I also try to make arrangements to help them, to keep them supported through all of this. And again, we have to change our formula because we have to do it all virtually. So I'm now getting ready to do my New Year greetings to them and make sure that they have some tangible, I'm not saying monetary, some tangible support for me for the new year. And I did that for the children just before Christmas. I know turn my attention to supporting, shouting out, and giving New Year something for the new year.
Yes, all right. Mrs. Marshall House, we've got to leave it there. But thank you so much for being there for our nation's children through the helpline and through the work you've always been doing. And we want to encourage people to use the helpline because the opportunity to see relief is very real. Thank you so very much. All the best.
Thank you, Pearson. Thank you, CBC.
You're very welcome.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Likewise. That's it for today. Thanks to my production crew, Nadia Foster, the producer, Roel Ford, our technical director. At sound is Michael Sobers. Tamisha Green is at Master Control. I'm Pearson Bowen. Hoping you'll join us again tomorrow morning. Good morning.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.